On this video, we're going to talk about compounding and how you can be 1,200 trillion times better with only 10% per day. The math is absolutely insane, but I never done it. I never laid it out. I never walked through it. I never done any of this. And when I laid out the math, it was mind blowing to me. And I'm going to share with you the math on compounding returns. So you might have seen the graphic out there of 1% better per day, right? You'll get 37 times better over the course of a year, 37.78, right? 1% to the 365 is the math, right? 1% compounded every day for 365 days. You get 37x better. But what happens when you take weekends off? What does that look like, right? There's like 240 roughly working days. If you take 2 weeks of vacation, the 10 days of, so 52 weeks, 2 days, so it's 104 days come right off the top, plus, another 10 days of working, plus another 10 days of vacation. And, we cut a couple others out of there. So 240 is the number that I used for working days, basically. So if you only get 1% better per day on working days, then you're 10 times better at the end of the year, right? And that's, like you're actually actively looking to get better in whatever area, right? You're reading, you're absorbing the information, you're putting it to use, and you're becoming better in some area, right? This could be working out, anything like that. You're becoming better in that area. And so you need to actually like apply effort. If you just do the same things over and over and you're not putting the right intent, you're not really trying to improve or get better through that, well, you're not going to get better. It's really just as simple as that. So you want to get better. You want to do the right things through this. So again, 1% improvement per day for 240 days a year, which is like just most working days, you're 10.89 times better. If you do it 365 days, right, every day of the year, then you're 37.78 times better. Now, if you go 5%, right, if you're 5% better, and like a lot of this is pretty hard to measure, right? We don't have, which is why I hammer on systems and processes, because you don't have the systems to measure, you don't have the processes to measure what the actual improvement is. And some things are just pretty hard, like to measure, like quality of life, right? Like what is the quality of life better? Now, there's some things like in fitness, right? Like how much you bench press or how fast you run or how many miles you do, right? There's some things that are very quantitative by nature. Some other things, like if you're not measuring like how fast you design things or how fast you get through projects or how many projects you quoted, like what's your take rate in the market, views, like there's a lot of other things that we do have that can be quantified. And then the question is, do you have the systems around that to determine what is quantifiable, right? How much better you're getting, how many more views you're getting, how much more reach you're getting, how many more projects you bid, how many more people you onboard, how long they stay with you, how good they are, right? What's your rate of errors and omissions? This list can be very big and very complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. It should be big, but there should be a way for you to collect all that information. And this does take time to build, right? It's not an overnight thing. So anyway, 5% improvement. What does this look like? 5% for just working days, right? So 240 days a year, you're 121,739 times better. That's pretty cool, right? If you get 5% improvement per day, that's pretty impressive. What if you did 5% every day, right? 365 days a year. What would that look like? 54.2 million times better, right? This is the power of compounding. So that's 445 times greater if you work those extra 125 days. Like that's what we're talking. If you work the extra 125 days, you become 45 times better in 1 year at 5% improvement per day. Crazy. All right, let's do 10%. I don't think like 10% is like way upper limits of achievement. Like we look at the best in the world, right? You're trying to get like marginal improvements, but those marginal improvements, like I like to use this example, but Phelps won one of his races by like hundredths or thousandths of a second, right? Just crazy how slim of a margin that he won that race by. But that got him the gold. We don't remember the guy that got second place, right? We remember Michael Phelps. So winning is the only thing that matters in the realm of history. It's the only thing that matters. So when we look at this, like, 10% is on that like very high echelon, it the top ends of improvement, it's like it's so marginal. Like this book with winning in mind by Laney Bassam, who's an Olympic gold medalist, world champion shooter. For him, like we're talking like marginal things, right? Like a 9 versus 10 on a bullseye target, right? Like you have to be tens across the board to win. And we're talking like such slim margins of victory, like the Phelps story, that your areas of improvement are so slim in the work that you have to do to maintain, right? You're not necessarily improving, but just maintain the level that you're at is such a high work ethic, right? You're putting so much input every day that to gain that little bit, right? That little bit of improvement is tremendous. And so there's different levels to this, depending on where you are, right? But the point here in doing this, and I'll finish the 10% here. But the point in doing this is that you're able to really see what the power of compounding is, and you working at a craft, a skill, a thing every day, and to not deviate from it, right? To like actually apply your mind, your efforts onto something every single day, and then it'll just show you how much better you're going to get over a long period of time, right? And this is only a year, right? 365 days, not that long in the scheme of things, but it does take dedicated effort. So, all right, 10%. You do 10% improvement per day for all working days, right? So you get 125 days break a year. 10%, you would be 8.6 billion times better. 8.6 billion. That's crazy. That's crazy. What if you did 10% improvement per day, every day for 365 days? What is that number? I don't even know what is after trillion, and I didn't Google it. So we're going to express this in thousand trillions. So 1,283 trillion. So like 1 point, whatever is it? It's not mega, giga. I don't know. I don't even know. You'll tell me in the comments, but it's 1,283 trillion times better. So what is the difference here at 10% per day between working days and every day? It's 149,308 is the multiple, right? So when you divide 1,200 trillion by 8.6 billion, you get 149,308. Like that's absurd numbers, right? Like this whole thing is absurd, right? It's 3.5 times better if you work every day to get 1% better, right? You're going to versus working days. If you do it every day over the course of a year, you'll be three and a half times further along than the other person, right? Just doing it during the week and taking 2 weeks of vacation plus the 10 holidays, right? The person that does it every day will be 3.5 times farther down the road than the person just doing normal days. You get 5% better. The difference between the guy that does it every single day and just on working days, 445 times. And then lastly, that 10%, 149,308. How much are you leaving on the table by just working during the week, right? Not doing anything on the weekends, not doing anything on holidays, or taking those 2 weeks of vacation, right? Pretty crazy what actually looking at this mathematically, what these numbers show. Now, this is a lot easier said than done. You got to go out and execute, but there's a huge reward, huge reward on the other side of actually executing every day towards those goals. So get out there, execute, and have a good one, y'all.